We're moving on to another topic, and another passioning topic. Before, Xavier spoke to us about minerals, about what we eat, what we don't. We are what we eat. So food and healthy diets is a great challenge. Dr. Isabel Arranz is a fantastic communicator. She comes to our radio very often, and we benefit from her professionality. She's our nutritionist. She's a doctor in nutrition, pharmaceutics, dietitian, nutrition specializing in chronic pain, excessive weight, and food intolerances. A great challenge for sure. Healthy diet. Let's welcome Laura Isabel Arranz. Welcome. Thank you. Great to be here again. And great to see that we have come to the point where we've already been discussing about things relating to nutrition, how important it is, as well as this challenge that we all have in many, many respects. How can I change the slides? Okay. And this is the best time to talk about food, right? So I'll try to give a simple presentation, but one which includes all the knowledge we have today, which is extensive, about the nutritional aspects that are really important in the context of health, and in particular in the context of osteoarthritis. It is a challenge because we're talking about many things. Among other things, it's also a challenge to summarize all of this knowledge and convey it to you so that you can go away with it. This is what this is about, so that we can all look after each other and we can look after such a valuable machinery that we have. Eating healthy is a challenge. Sometimes we find it difficult to change our habits. But I think that when we have this knowledge, when we know how important it is, when we know about its potential and the benefit that we will obtain, or that we are experimenting with it because we've already started with improvements, this is powerful, and we will soon be encouraged to carry on with healthy diets. Eating healthy is indispensable to having a good health. We all know that. We know that we are what we eat. That's rather significant, and that is so. But also for joint health too. We are getting to know more and more about all of these processes that are ongoing in the joint, and over these days you definitely heard many things to better understand why I'm telling you about this, which is what studies say. Studies that year after year review the situation. There are studies, projects, trials that speak of the importance of food and healthy diets and having the necessary levels of vitamin C, minerals, and other nutrients to ensure that the body works well and to maintain the joint health. Because our joints, as well as other parts of the body and tissues, need certain substrates to maintain their function and to maintain a good remodeling, good regeneration. On a joint level, we know that we are seeing processes continuously of generation and regeneration, and this is part of the new normality of our bodies. We need to give our body what the body needs. If our diet is poor, without nutrients, many things will go wrong. For example, we know for sure that sometimes it may be the case with some of us that we may feel fragility in our nails or hair. We might suffer hair loss. These things may happen when there is a lack of something. Maybe not a complete lack of something, but maybe when there's not sufficient intake of vitamins, minerals, and other things the body needs. And what the body does is prioritize until it shows more important symptoms, alterations in health. And it takes time because the body can adapt with the little we give it, it tries to prioritize. But there is a vast difference between following a healthy diet with rich nutrients, not with a lot of calories, only the necessary ones, but with these good nutrients we will be gifting the body. It's indispensable. And we have also seen that this topic, we must say so, is the way it is. Weight reduction is very important. Whenever there is an excess, when there's excessive weight, obesity, and this is a key factor, because not only because we can already imagine that the excess of weight is a mechanical load for our joints, but then we could also think on the joints like the knees, the ankles, the hip. But what happens when all of a sudden we can also see that obesity is a risk factor for osteoarthritis in other areas, such as the hands? There is no mechanical overload there, even if I carried weight. What happens, though, in addition to this mechanical overload, is that when we bear weight, this level of inflammation that we are experiencing wherever there is osteoarthritis, there's a certain level of inflammation, which is chronic, which is of a low degree, but which is present. Then accumulating fat and excessive weight worsens the inflammation. Why? Because this fat that we accumulate in our body is, let's say, the substrate that our body needs to generate inflammatory substances. So the more the weight, the more the inflammation, and the worse the context will be. And the opposite is true. When we reduce weight, even if we only reduce 10% of our weight, there is already a very, very important improvement in the symptomatology. But not just in the pain that we suffer today, also in the progression in the long term for our disease. So it is very important. Reduction of cholesterol and triglycerides. Last year we especially focused on the relationship between osteoarthritis and cardiovascular risk. There is a close relationship, especially because of this thread, connecting thread, inflammation. There's this inflammation, this oxidative stress I will refer to in a minute. These are factors that are to be found together in a cardiovascular pathology and in an osteoarthritic case. This inflammation will also worsen our cardiovascular health. And if our cholesterol is high, this will be associated with a worse situation in the case of osteoarthritis. That's why a reduction in cholesterol and triglycerides, generally fats, in the blood is a factor that also improves the context of osteoarthritis. So let's not lose sight of that. Let's not think that these things have little to do between each other, because they do. Now, let's talk about the improvement of the gastrointestinal function. Another key aspect that more and more, luckily, is something that we have received information about. So we can see that this relationship between the patient in the context of rheumatology, of rheumatological pathologies such as osteoarthritis with a gastrointestinal complication is not by chance. It happens, and in addition, one thing worsens the other one, because whenever there is inflammation, our intestine, especially our microbiota, is much more susceptible to suffering alterations. And in addition to that, the microbiota has as one of its functions to regulate these levels of inflammation, to regulate these inflammatory processes. Therefore, if my gastrointestinal function is not working well, this means that the microbiota does not have the optimal composition, and this in turn means that the function in regulating inflammatory processes is not carried out correctly. As a result, we shouldn't lose sight of these things. We should ask ourselves, are we eating healthy, nutritiously, to maintain or reduce my body weight? Am I looking after my blood lipids? Is my cholesterol okay? Are my triglycerides okay? How am I in gastrointestinally? Do I go to the bathroom regularly? Am I having problems? Gas? We need to control these things. They all have an influence. All of this will affect the processes of joint generation. This will affect the inflammation processes, and it may cause oxidative stress, which, as has already been mentioned in previous presentations, I read about Ketosan, for example. They included this activity of reducing oxidative stress. So it is very important in the joint. This is a physiopathological process, a process that is there that favors degeneration. And this oxidative stress can be reduced with a good intake of antioxidants. And antioxidants can be found in vegetables. So we already have a few hints. What is the diet for osteoarthritic patients? Well, the most recent studies suggest that clearly those who follow unsuitable diets, poor diets, no vegetables, diets with little content of fish, where there is a predominance of meat, with processed food, and poor in fresh food, have a worse progression and worse symptomatology. And the opposite is true. Those who follow a healthier, more prudent diet, that's a term they used in the study, they used the term prudent, which is rich in vegetable food, fruit, veg, fish, cereal, whole cereal, and products such as fish and others of animal origin. Well, this vegetable richness guarantees a better progression and less pain. The Mediterranean diet fits this model. It's a typical anti-inflammatory diet model, recognized internationally. Anti-inflammatory diet began being something that was discussed when the first studies were published. Little was said about this, but today it is something that has been widely and amply studied. The Mediterranean diet fits and meets these requirements of an anti-inflammatory diet. However, sometimes it seems as if the Mediterranean diet is what we already eat, and we feel as if we are not following it, which we are not following, not always. Sometimes we might be disappointed. Actually several studies, have assessed the antioxidants in vegetables, in particular the intake of one apple a day. This promotes an improvement in joint health because it seems that it promotes the endogenous generation for the body to be able to manufacture, to produce the proteoglycates, these sugars like glucosamine, chondroitin, hyaluronic acid, which are found in the joint, playing this role of hydration of the joint as a buffer, as a damper. So basically that's just with apples. So the power our diets can exert is vast, even if we think that this is just anecdotal. It isn't. When it comes to supplements, more and more studies are being published that show that nowadays, for instance, glucosamine and chondroitin in the form of a food supplement have proven to be substances that will help maintain this joint better, controlling pain and prognosis. But then there are other interesting studies focusing on other ingredients, such as these. They studied certain components of avocado and soy. We're talking about very specific substrates, the characteristics of which is that they are very antioxidant and very anti-inflammatory. You will see that the concept antioxidant, anti-inflammatory always go hand in hand. And in this case, they are tied with the concept of chondroprotection. An antioxidant will be a chondroprotector because that joint will have a lot of oxidative stress that worsens the state of the joint, and as a result, if we give it antioxidants, it will be a chondroprotector. So there are these food supplements that are being studied, and in this specific case, it seems as if they have a high level of evidence when it comes to the positive effects. Then there are other ingredients that for which there is no maximum evidence, products that are within the field of nutritional supplements, and conducting studies is difficult and costly, and not always companies can carry out all the studies they would need or want. But it is true that in relation to collagen, there are many studies conducted over the years that conclude in a nutshell that taking hydrolyzed collagen can be very useful, especially for prevention and in the early stages of an osteoarthritis, because that collagen is a protein, the protein that will be in our joints, but not just there. For instance, collagen now is important, the one it's in our muscles, and this will help the muscle to communicate well with the tendon, and this in turn with the joint and the bone. It has been seen that taking collagen helps. Even if it's a protein and it will be digested, it will undo in our digestive process, but it will become undone into substances, amino acids and peptides that will finally reach where they need to reach, the joint, helping the body to regenerate. The body will always be generating and degenerating. In the process of osteoarthritis, degeneration wins, but we need to provide the body with elements to compensate the situation. It is clear that in very advanced osteoarthritis, taking collagen will have a little effect. It will be difficult to perceive, but especially in early ages it would be useful. And then there's omega-3, ginger, curcumin help reduce inflammation. So supplements or eating bluefish. And then curcumin, ginger, these are spices with antioxidant and anti-inflammatory potential. We need to be a little bit careful though. Both the doses are still in preliminary studies. They may be high to perceive an effect, but what we can do is include them as ingredients of this healthy diet that we must follow. They must form part and create a synergetic effect. With all of this is the challenge. When we talk about the Mediterranean diet, we feel that we do things well. When we talk about eating healthy, we may believe we are really doing things right. The challenge is that we should always include these key ingredients. Some every day, others every week. But every day or regularly, our body should receive vitamin C. You know that vitamin C is necessary for the body to produce collagen. We need antioxidants. We know that this oxidative stress in the joint needs these antioxidants to reduce the level of oxidative stress and inflammation. We need vitamins, minerals, not just calcium. We need magnesium, we need zinc, we need copper. We need many more minerals that are also present in vegetable food. We need fiber. This relationship between gastrointestinal system and osteoarthritis, it has also been seen that those who have fiber-rich diets show better evolution when it comes to osteoarthritis. And what does fiber do in a joint? It's not a direct effect. The fiber looks after our intestinal microbiota to ensure it is stronger, healthier, And this means that our inflammatory processes will be better controlled, and as a result, evolution of osteoarthritis will be better. The challenge is for us to eat a few nuts a day, a couple of spoonfuls of seeds, especially varying them between sesame, chia, varying them. They're all very rich nutritionally, but each one has its own specificities. Sesame has a lot of calcium and magnesium. Linum has omega-3, and chia has amazing fiber. We shouldn't miss it, in addition to all the minerals and vitamins they have. And then our nutrition, our diet, should be based on vegetable food, supplemented with fish, eggs, yogurts. That's the most healthy dairy product with less fat, with live ferments that will help our microbiota. Blue fish twice a week. We should have a list, checking that we did everything that we should have done, including collagen. Why not? In that fish, especially blue fish, and whenever we can, we should ensure it is small blue fish, because it would have accumulated less heavy metals, because the large blue fish accumulate more heavy metals. But some sardines, some anchovies, we can eat it even with the fish bone if need be, or with the skin. Something as simple as that is a small contribution of collagen that the body will use. These are small things that the body will take advantage of. And when the cold comes, if it does come, because this is the end of October and it's still not cold, but when we do our broth and when we want to have a hot meal, then using vegetables and adding the fish bones in the broth, we are also adding nutritional content that will help our nutritional health. So the challenge is to include all of this. The challenge is to have this list of essential food and to do it every day. Maybe at the beginning there might be things that we cannot do every day because maybe we bought the seeds. Maybe I used them one day in a salad or on top of a toast of bread, but then I forgot for 2 days and I didn't do it. The challenge is to persevere, and to give the body all of these ingredients every day. Vegetable richness, the proteins of white meat, fish, and beans. And then avoid food that will be conflictive because it will be more harmful, such as added sugars or products containing sugar. Very sweet food. Why is sugar a problem for osteoarthritis? Well, first, because it will make us fatter. We will gain weight by eating sugar. This is not good. And then because sugars and also sweeteners too, affect the gastrointestinal health. They affect the microbiota. A diet rich in sugar or using sweeteners every day will worsen the composition of the microbiota, and this will affect our inflammatory state and our capacity to reduce this inflammation. And the more natural, the better. It shouldn't be processed. It should be proximity food, seasonal food. We need to go back to what is natural, to the simple. It is clear that some processed food is something we all eat, but we need to see a predominance of non-processed food. 7 kilos of fruit and veg every week. I don't know whether you are at that level, but if we count the 5 sets that we need to eat, we should be buying 7 kilos of fruit and veg for each person at home. So this makes us reflect. And well, I wouldn't like to go on for too long, so I'd say I would like to have some time for questions. I think that another of the challenges is to do all of this. And at OAFI, we try to do things to give you ideas, because the challenge is for this to be easy. The challenge is that, yeah, fine, I know what I need to do, but I feel pain, I don't feel well, I don't have the mobility I would like to have, I feel tired, or I am emotionally exhausted. That can also happen, especially in contexts of chronic pain, and that's another handicap. Everything is very easy when one feels well, at 100%. But whenever there is a health problem, everything is a little bit more difficult. Everything is a challenge. And the truth is that we should try to have a list of very simple ideas. For example, at what time of the day will I eat my nuts? So I will eat my nuts in the middle of the afternoon. Just when I'm feeling a little bit down, I'll eat my handful of nuts. Or if I didn't remember during the day, at least after dinner, I will eat 3 walnuts. You know, we need this checklist, a list with ideas. Or seeds. If I do a salad, I will put seeds on it. If I eat toast in the morning, I'll put some sesame on top of it. Or tahine, you know, the sesame paste. You can buy it and apply it on top of and spread it on the bread with a little bit of extra virgin olive oil. That's a gift for the body. So let's follow these simple ideas, and then let's be organized. Let's organize our shopping. Minimize the effort that this could entail. And try and look after what you do. Food is important. Eating healthy is great. And when one feels the benefit, this helps to get motivated. But there also needs to be an emotional point. When it's time for breakfast, when it's time for lunch, when it's time for dinner, it's a pleasurable time. A time that we enjoy, because maybe I have some fish with some vegetables baked in the oven. I can do it once a week and then for several days with different colors. And if it looks nice, we are going to like it because we deserve it. And this helps us to consolidate, to be more truthful, more loyal, following this healthy pattern. So with these messages, this is all I wanted to share with you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Arranz. You opened up our stomachs. Now it's time for lunch. But before, look behind you. Maria Teresa Burgess, what are you holding? This is a surprise, isn't it? What is this, Maria Teresa? Dr. Arranz, with her simplicity, is a university professor. She specializes in anti-inflammatory diets. And we work together because at OAFI we carry out online workshops. She gives them for the whole of Spain, so you are invited to take part. Access our website and then you will see the days where she gives these workshops. Thank you.